All right, Bat fam, here we go. We are off and running another day, another rumor, another speculative piece to discuss the Batman Part 2, which of course comes out in October of 2027. And right now, word on the street is don't be surprised if Oscar Isaac is offered a role. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Digital Charcuterie. My name is James. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new to the channel and looking forward to the Batman Part 2, hit that subscribe button. I talk about it and discuss it all the time with you guys right here on the channel. And I do videos on the Batman Part 2 all the time. I'm going to say some things that if you're not new to the channel, you've heard me say before, and some new things, hopefully. But I want to know your thoughts on Oscar Isaac potentially being in the Batman Part 2, and who would you like to see him portray in that movie? This is coming to us from Jeff Sneider, the Snyder himself on the Hype Mike podcast, said this is not a leak. This is not from a source. This is just speculation on his part that Oscar Isaac name might have been hovering around, could be floating around for the Batman Part 2, for a role in the Batman Part 2. Now, Oscar Isaac is also being reported that was up for a role in the Batman Part 1, but they couldn't quite work it out. So, look, you've got to take it all with a grain of salt. Obviously, everything that we say and speculate on, you always got to take it with a giant grain of salt. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, fantastic. It is what it is, and this is where we are. And I want to talk about this because I just, I saw this yesterday, and I did my It preview show yesterday, and I considered doing both videos. And I said, let me sit on this, marinate on this for a little while. And I'll think about it overnight if I want to do this video or not. And I watched Frankenstein last night, and Oscar Isaac is, of course, the lead in, spoiler, he plays Victor Frankenstein. And so I watched and I said, he's really good in that movie. Like, I was surprised. Like, I like Oscar Isaac. I thought he was really good in Dune. I mean, Star Wars is Star Wars, and Ex Machina. Like, he's good. I think he's a good actor, but I didn't think, like, I thought Frankenstein, though, I think that might be his strongest work today. I mean, I have to put it all side by side, but I thought he was really good. So I was like, you know what? I think I want to do this video. Let's do this video. Let's talk about it. Because, again, you take it with a grain of salt, but also you think about, okay, if he was being circled for the first movie, maybe Matt Reeves and co circle back and they go to him again. That's not always the case, but it's a possibility, a plausibility that they could do that and be like, hey, look, we have other roles. Would you be interested in this? Could we make something work out? We think you'd be a fit for this. And the reason why I would leaning more towards doing this video is, after watching Frankenstein, of course, is he's in Frankenstein, he's in Moon Knight, he's in X-Men Apocalypse, he's in Star Wars, he's in a lot of films. Like, Oscar Isaac is everywhere. He's not Pedro Pascal, Chris Pratt territory yet, but he's in a lot, right? And he's a coveted actor. He's an actor that directors want to work with. And so, yeah, you know what? This could be plausible based on all of the above. Now, the question, of course, would be, is there a role within this script that would fit an actor like Oscar Isaac? Because you're not just going to offer him anything for the sake of offering him a role. He's going to have to fit the role that they're hiring for. And right now, we haven't got any details on that. The last we heard about casting at all for the Batman Part 2 was from Colin Farrell on an interview with, I believe, the Happy Sad Confused podcast, where he said, he hasn't heard that Matt Reeves has any idea of who he wants for the villain right now. He obviously, Colin Farrell and Matt Reeves know who the villain is, but they don't know the actor, or Matt Reeves hasn't figured out the actor that he wants. He hasn't got into that stage yet. So on that front of it, it's like, this might be premature speculation here. But again, if they were circling, that was also a week or two ago. So a lot could change and move and develop. We're starting to get into this April production, right? So pre-production going on now. There's going to be a lot of casting going on now. I mean, Man of Tomorrow comes out 2 months before the Batman Part 2, and we've just found out Brainiac is going to be a part of that. They're teasing that. James Gunn kind of just confirmed that it's Brainiac. So there was a casting call out that really sounded like Brainiac. So the things are going to start to snowball. We're going to start to hear and understand more and more about what character they're looking to cast in this. And if it's Oscar Isaac, I think that's probably a win. But I do think, that could be, it could be a little bit much, because he is in a lot of film right now. He is a borderline everywhere. Like I said, he's not quite everywhere yet, but he's there. But he's a really good actor. So it's kind of like, what are you going to do here? But who would he play? What character would he play? Now, if you've been on this channel at all in the past, and if you're new to it, I'm going to introduce you to the character that I think is going to be the big bad in the Batman Part 2. I've done a lot of speculation on a lot of characters. I'm good. Look, I'm good with whoever they decide on, but I think it's going to be Hugo Strange. And to be honest, Oscar Isaac feels like he was genetically engineered in a lab to play a terrifying genius with an obsession for Batman. Strange is one of Batman's oldest villains, older than the Joker in the comics, and he's a psychologist who studies Batman to the point of obsession. He often knows Batman's identity, he manipulates institutions, he pulls strings from Arkham and the medical community, and he uses intellect over theatrics. This is 100% Reeves' vibe, and remember, Reeves said Part 2 goes deeper into corruption and Bruce's past. Strange is the guy who digs up secrets, exposes trauma, twists psychology, and gets inside Batman's head. You want an actor who can play soft-spoken menace? Isaac has it. You want someone who can go full tilt deranged genius? Isaac can do that too. And Strange has never been a main villain in a live action movie. So boom, checks all the boxes. And again, Matt Reeves said also on Happy Second Fuse, it was on the Annie Red Carpet, he said, this is something with a villain that they've never done. Like, this has never been done before on film. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a brand new villain, but it hints at that, and it's something we've never seen before on film. Hugo Strange is right there. One character that keeps populating online that fans seem to want and seem to really narrow down with Oscar Isaac wanting him to play and that's Two-Face, Harvey Dent Two-Face. And I like the idea. I think he could play a really good Two-Face, but I don't think it's going to be Two-Face, and I don't think Two-Face is going to be in this movie. Harvey Dent might be in this movie, but I don't think we'll see Two-Face in this. I would not be disappointed if we did, but I don't think we will. And my reasoning for that is he said it's something that's never been done in a Batman movie before, right? That's what Matt Reeves said. So there's a lot of scenarios with Harvey Dent that have been played out in a Batman movie before. On top of all that, he was just in The Joker 2, Folie à Deux, Harvey Dent was. And in my opinion, he was used brilliantly in Batman Caped Crusader, the animated series on Prime. I thought that version of Harvey Dent Two-Face was great because they didn't just retread him at all. They literally flipped the side of his face around. The deranged face was the sane Harvey Dent. And the clean face was the psycho, and I liked what they did there. So if you're going to do something new with Harvey Dent, it's got to be completely new and completely out of the box. And I think they kind of did that with Caped Crusader, and he was just in a movie that everyone loved in Joker Part 2, like the character. So I just think that's a character that they might just put on the sidelines for now. I'm not against it. Like, he's a character in the universe, and a character in the universe, whether he's been used or not, deserves to be in the universe for sure if there's a necessity for that to be the case. And also, when it came to the Batman Part 1, no one knows what role Oscar Isaac was up for in the Batman Part 1. It could have been Riddler. It could also have just been the DA. And they could just keep going down this path, be like, do you want to play the DA in this one? The DA in this one is Harvey Dent. And I don't think he'll become Two-Face, but if he did, Oscar Isaac, too, as an actor, he's not going to look for the action-packed stuff. He's going to look for the meat. He's getting older. He's getting up there in age. Right? He's going to look for the meat. Look for something that he could really sink his teeth into. That's what he's going to want. And, Hugo Strange would be that. Two-Face, everyone I'm going to bring up is going to be like that. And I think that's going to be more important to him than just action and set pieces, which I also think is more important to Matt Reeves also. Which leads us into who I think a lot of people want this movie to be about. He's been teased forever. Matt Reeves said he'd love to do a movie with this Batman villain in it, and that's Hush. Hush is a massive contender, and Oscar Isaac would crush this role as well. Hush is the childhood friend turned enemy of Bruce Wayne. He has deep roots in the Wayne family history. He is fueled by jealousy and resentment, and he uses manipulation, planning, and long-term psychological warfare. Reeves' hammered childhood drama, legacy, and corruption in the first movie, Hush, fits all of that like a glove. Remember, the reporter in the Batman named Elliot? Reeves didn't put that name in there by accident. The breadcrumbs are there, and if you want someone who can play a charismatic, charming figure hiding deep emotional rot, Oscar Isaac is basically built for that. And don't forget, the Elliot Bridge and the Penguin. The breadcrumbs for Hush have been there from the start. And while I think it's Hugo Strange, I also think it's going to be Hush. Hugo Strange is, I think, more up there. It could be multiple villains also. We can't leave that on the table. The Batman one, the first one, had multiple villains. Penguin's in this one, so it's already multiple villains. What about Black Mask? Roman Sionis? Nah, because of Birds of Prey, I don't see him being in here, to be completely honest. I think Oscar Isaac would be great in this, and I think the character would be great in a Reeves-verse movie. I just think if you look back at what Margot Robbie said about how they wanted Penguin as the villain in Birds of Prey, and Matt Reeves said, can you not? I want to use him in the Batman. I don't think he's going to go with Black Mask. That is like the reasoning for me to say I don't think he's going to go with Black Mask. I just don't see that happening. The character might fit in as well. I think it kind of does, but also, I just don't think that this is somewhere that Matt Reeves is going to go. I just think Black Mask is not going to happen in this trilogy of Batman films. And honestly, he could just be a talent or somebody deep within the Court of Owls, and he could be playing the long game. What if he just had a cameo in the Batman Part 2 and he's a big bad in Batman Part 3? What about that? He could play somebody associated with the Court of Owls, and we learn more about him. And in the Batman Part 3, it's like, oh, he was in charge of all of it. He was behind everything that we saw for 3 movies. It was Oscar Isaac. That would be a payoff for a character of his caliber as well. I could see that happening. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I do think we're leading towards Court of Owls. I think Hugo Strange gets us there. I think everything is tying into Court of Owls. I don't think I'm the only one on that, which also makes me hesitant to think that's where we're going to get anymore. Because if it's that obvious to me and to you, you got to think they've got something else up their sleeves, right? That's what I think. But I also would say that would be something cool for an actor like Oscar Isaac, right? Give him a little piece in this one. You're like, oh, cool, Oscar Isaac was in that movie. Then the next one, be like, guess what? He was the big bad the whole time. And you're like, oh, damn. All right. I can live with that. I kind of like that idea. I don't know what they're going to do. For me, though, if you look at Oscar Isaac, you look at his acting pedigree, and especially after Victor Frankenstein, I just think Hugo Strange I think he's a shoo-in for Hugo Strange, if he wants the role, of course. And I think that would be a role that he could really sink his teeth into. But I think he'd have a lot of fun with it. And I think it's a character that really fits the storyline, the narrative that we're getting from Matt Reeves. That's not to take away from Hush, because I do think Hush is someone that's up there. I think there's a bunch of characters that have the possibility of being in this, but my number one is going to be Hugo Strange until I am told it's not. And even then, no, I'm just joking. Once I find out it's like Hugo Strange, we'll change it all. But the main thing is, it's fun to discuss and have these conversations and do these videos. But at the end of the day, these are just speculation. It's just for fun. Whatever the outcome is, that's what it is. We just leave this at the door, and you go in and you watch the movie that they made, presented to you, and you base it on its own merits, not what's inside your head. I think that's important. I gotta say that. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Any of these characters, or is there somebody else on your mind that Oscar Isaac could play in the Batman Part 2? Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate your time. Hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, may you be the master of your own universe.